Hi everyone, it's Suey, and today we are going to end our first forced phase and start a new one. I said in the beginning that we would maybe take 3 months or kind of a quarter of the year to do a forced phase, and we're not quite to the end of that, but almost. This is to say that I am tired of that one and I'm ready to start a new one. I am officially declaring this first forced phase a complete and total flop. Yeah, I didn't really do as much as I hoped to do. It didn't really consume me like I hoped a forced phase would consume me. But this is all a work in progress and we'll just see how it goes, right? If you haven't been around, and this is still new to you, I am going to be doing on this channel periods of what I'm calling forced phases, which is to take a subject and jump into it fairly deeply, hopefully, by reading stuff, watching stuff, listening to podcasts, looking up stuff, whatever comes to mind on the topic. This first one that I did was British Monarchy. And the reason I did that was because of how much Prince Harry has been in the news lately, Prince Harry and Meghan. So I thought that that would be kind of a current topic, but in the end, all I did for my British Monarchy forced phase was to finish watching that Netflix documentary called Harry and Meghan that they did telling their story, which I found really interesting. Topic of Prince Harry seems to be quite a dividing one. I tend to fall on the side of giving him the benefit of the doubt and that everything he's telling us is pretty much how it happened. So who knows? And I put Spare on hold, his book, which it's probably never going to come to me, but maybe someday. That book made it for our book club read in November, so I will be reading it for that now, and reading or listening to it whenever it gets to me sometime in the future. Maybe I'll end up buying it. I don't know. And then the only other thing I did was I found this book on my huge TBR stacks, which I didn't realize was there. I didn't realize that it was about Henry VIII until I grabbed it and I was like, oh, I should totally read this. I just finished this one this past week and really enjoyed it. And it's told in first person, Henry VIII's first person point of view. And it starts out when he's 6 years old, and it gives some idea into what his life might have been like when he was young, which I've never seen anything really like that. There's not, according to the author notes in the back, there's not a whole lot that's known about him when he's young. She was just kind of going on the bare minimum. I think it's marketed as YA, so I was thinking that maybe it wouldn't go through his whole life and just be kind of when he was young, but it is his whole life. It is his whole life. Goes all the way to the very bitter end. He becomes king when he is 17 years old, and that happens maybe a third of the way through the book. So you've got the whole story here. I guess it's marketed as YA because it's kind of I don't want to say simplified version, but that's kind of what it is. Like there's the story is there without all the massive details, and I really enjoyed it. We go through all the wives. We go through what might have been in his head. The premise of this is that maybe he was haunted by something in his past, or something from his past ancestors, or hit some sort of neurological thing that kind of made him a little bit crazy, which we kind of all knew, but it makes you feel for him just a touch, not a whole lot. I really enjoyed how she portrayed his younger self. Like he was pretty decent in the beginning, and in this book he treated Catherine of Aragon awesome until he didn't get a son, and so he was so obsessed. Drives to point the idea that all he cared about was building the British Empire and having sons to carry on the empire that he built. So that's he just mowed over anyone that got in his way. I have always been fascinated by Henry VIII and the wives and what it would have been like, and the motivation and the craziness he felt to have his legacy be carried on with his sons. It must have been so huge for him. I don't know. It's a fascinating story. And I remember buying this one, I think probably because of the cover. Isn't that an amazing cover? And I don't even know, it's just called 8, I guess. 8 in Roman numerals by H.M. Castor. I'll do a 1-minute review on the shorts, but I thought I would talk about it a little more detail here because I just really quite liked it. So that's all I really did for my British Monarchy study. I was thinking I would maybe watch a movie or two. I don't know. I don't know what I really wanted to do, or maybe another book. I know there's another one over here that I haven't read, but I feel like it's time to say done with that one. And let's move on to what I wanted to learn about next, which we're kind of getting a little more personal here, which I'm a little nervous about. And I could get a little ranty. I was ranty in my head thinking about this, but maybe I can tone it down for the video. So my whole life I've struggled with, I wouldn't say dieting because I've never really dieted. I have an issue in my mind over food and eating. I hate the thought of dieting. It makes me angry. I wouldn't say I've been like fat my whole life, but I've struggled with that in the past few years. And getting older, things change and it's just not the same. And everything stays on. No matter what you do, everything stays on. So my story is mostly just that it's just been something that's always nagging at me my whole life. You know, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, you eat too much, you have too big of an appetite, you should stop. All the things that are good, you shouldn't eat. All the things that are yucky, you should eat. Too bad you don't like vegetables because that's the only thing that's good for you. That kind of thing, like always in my head. 3 years ago when the pandemic started, I was literally 2 weeks into a low carb diet when that pandemic started because I had gone to the doctor. They said, you need to eat low carb or you could be diabetic. So that was enough of a spur to make me try doing low carb, which I did for 10 months in 2020 while everybody else was gaining weight during the pandemic and baking and having a great time at home, learning how to cook fun stuff. I was doing the low carb diet and I lost 40 pounds during those 10 months. But then I decided, oh, great. Let's see if I can try to eat more normal again. And so then I started eating normal and have gained about half of it, a little bit more than half of it back now. That's so much fun. So much fun for me. So now I keep wondering, do I go back on a low carb diet? Can I figure out how to eat without stressing about it so much and eat what I feel like is healthy? Because I don't feel like low carb is healthy. I don't feel like high fat is healthy, which is low carb. If you don't eat low carb, you eat high fat. Don't feel like that's healthy. I don't feel like vegetarian is healthy. I don't feel like all meat is healthy. I don't feel like all the things people do. First of all, I don't feel like they're that healthy. And second of all, I don't think I could. There's no way I can maintain it. Like you can do it for a while, but you can't maintain it. So this is all the background to say that I keep hearing about intermittent fasting. And so I want to learn about that. I want to learn if that's something I can do. Although I feel like it's kind of a fad and the current new thing, although it's been around for a while, I know, but I just hearing about it more. So I'm going to do a forced phase to learn about intermittent fasting by finding some books. I've got one on hold already. And maybe also I started last year reading a book called Intuitive Eating, which I know is also a thing. And I keep thinking maybe that will help me understand this struggle I have in my brain. Maybe that can help me overcome the struggle. Like I don't necessarily want a diet. I just need to come to peace somehow, come to terms with my constant ongoing struggle. Maybe intuitive eating, reading that, maybe something will spark in me and make me feel like I can deal. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I had to give that one back to the library, so maybe I can find that one again and read it. Maybe I can listen to some podcasts. There's tons. There's like so much out there. I might go crazy. And also, I've already started like researching on the internet, looking at what people are saying on Twitter. I'm assuming that a lot of people struggle with this same thing. So I decided, what the heck? I will call it a forced phase. Let's talk about it. I'll tell you what I've learned at the end of it. But I'm thinking that this one might not last for the whole 3 months of what I want to call a forced phase, because I probably get sick of this subject after a while. It makes me depressed and angry a lot. So I don't know if I can handle it for that long, but maybe for a month or so, except I know it will take me longer to read those books. And I don't know that one is on hold. It might take me a while to get it. So we'll just kind of see. But I thought I would share my struggle, assuming that some people can relate, and maybe some people might want to either 1, join me in this forced phase, or 2, enlighten me on what you already know about this subject. And maybe you can help me push through my most recent, shall we say, frustrations with all this. Yeah. So, what do you think? Good? Are we good with this one for a minute? For a month? A couple months? Then we'll do a more fun one when summer gets here. How about that? Let's be thinking of something really fun after this, because to me this one's not fun at all. But I do want to learn about it. I do want to see if there's something out there that will finally click with me, something that I can stick with for longer than a few months, something that's doesn't feel like a fad diet, something that feels healthy to me. Maybe I just am to the point where I'm healthy and I don't worry about what I look like, which I try to do all the time anyway, but in this day and age, it's pounded into you how we should look, because I feel quite healthy for the most part. And I'm exercising, and I've just added strength training to my exercising, which I know I should have been doing all this time, but I've just been postponing it and dragging my feet. But I'm adding that in, doing better with that. And I know exercising is good for you, but I get frustrated with it too, because I don't see results. And I know results happen from eating differently, and I don't even really know what the results are that I want. I just want to not feel fat. That's the bottom line. So, as I said, a little personal, a little ranty. I didn't get as ranty as I do in my head. I did tone it down for you a little bit. I hope that this is something that we can maybe do together and share what we learn. That would be awesome for me. I hope that this forced phase thing is something that will catch on, and that I can incorporate into my life, and maybe have some of you join me if it's something that you like to, and we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, happy reading. We'll see you next time. Bye.